Hello everybody and welcome back to the planetarium. My name is Jonathan and this week we are going to talk about art and astronomy. Or to be more precise, the astronomy that we find in art and its meaning to the people who made it. Ever since our ancestors first looked up at the stars, they began to count, label, and track the heavenly objects above them at night. With time, the stars began to represent more to our ancestors. They were no longer points of light on a dark canvas. They were God. They were magic. They were their ancestors, which no longer stood by their side. What better way for these ancient people to share that knowledge than to create a physical representation of it? Works of art that could be studied and contemplated long after they themselves had ascended to join the very stars that they had hoped to record. Some of these works of art survive to this day. Their original meanings lost to time, but their significance and concepts still understood by their descendants millennia into the future. Academics have studied cave paintings from all over the world, and as these professionals dig deeper into the meaning these ancient artists left behind, the more they believe some of them are detailed records of the night sky, a historical record that transcends language and culture. As time progressed through the ages and civilizations became larger and more intertwined with each other, it was inevitable that artistic mediums would advance in complexity as well. Entire civilizations were now collaborating to create works of art so advanced that the world had never seen anything like it. Megalithic structures, grand temples, and towering pyramids. Each of these creations were precisely built to follow the movements of the celestials. The sun, the moon, the planets, and the stars all were studied and their passage through the sky was recorded. While there are countless ancient monuments that were built through the ages, the most well-known structures are probably the Great Pyramids of Giza. These incredible wonders have been around for millennia and can still be seen to this day. The ancient Egyptians who built the pyramids were as ancient to the Roman Empire as the Roman Empire is to us today. The people of that time constructed a monument to the stars that would last for over 4,000 years. And they did all of this at a time in history where writing was still a relatively new invention. The fact that the pyramids have stood as long as they have is so incredible that there are people to this day that don't believe humans built them. But unfortunately for fans of ancient aliens, humans did indeed build the pyramids. While the pharaoh may have found his final resting place inside the Great Pyramid, the pyramid itself was designed to point his soul towards the heavens. To the ancient Egyptians, or at least their royalty, the stars were not just beautiful points of light in the sky. They represented both life and death. The very world they lived in changed with the stars, and this power impressed upon them so much that they erected one of the greatest structures to ever grace this earth. Millions of tons of rock and man-hours were focused into these great wonders, all so that one group of ancient people could make the stars feel just a little bit closer than they actually were. For a long time throughout history, art has been the purview of the rich and powerful. Art supplies were incredibly expensive, and most people didn't have the time, money, or even the energy to work on paintings, sculptures, or any other easily preserved art forms. Thankfully, that has slowly changed as multiple social and manufacturing reforms were enacted, which has made these artistic mediums more accessible to people like you and me. Once art became accessible to everyone, the different ways in which the stars were interpreted artistically changed dramatically. One artist that has left their mark on astronomy and history is Vincent van Gogh, with his masterpiece, Starry Night. There is a lot to unpack with this particular piece and what makes it so famous. So I'm going to turn to one of my colleagues at the museum to help us better understand the artistic concepts in this painting.
My name is Amanda and I am the Education Coordinator at the Besser Museum. I'm here today to share a little bit of information about Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. Teachers all over the world love to use Starry Night as a way to display elements of art, principles of design. Some of these elements include the use of space, color, shape, form, value, texture, and line. In this piece in particular, we can see a lot of varying textures swirling through the night sky, as well as a vibrant use of color and a brilliant use of space. Like we talked about before, the contrast between our vibrant night sky and the quiet town below. People all over the world love this piece so much that they've used it on cell phone cases, bed sheets, purses, t-shirts. You can find it all over the world in many different forms of marketplaces. But today, we're just happy to celebrate it and our night sky. So I'll send you back to Johnathan at our Astronomy Facebook page. Be sure to check out Besser Planetarium for all of your astronomy information.
Thanks for that, Amanda. One other thing I wanted to go over real quick is that Van Gogh was a bit of an astronomer himself. And like any astronomer, he was captivated by the stars and other nighttime objects in the sky. Van Gogh even wrote that he was not satisfied by representing the night sky in simple dots on his canvas. Instead, Van Gogh took great effort in replicating his nighttime objects in Starry Night, capturing their color, size, brightness, and even their position in the sky as they appeared to him. This painting is so accurate, actually, that astronomers have used Starry Night to assess the actual date and time that Van Gogh painted his piece, which is thought to have happened around 4 a.m. on June 19, 1889, which to me is just amazing to think about. While Van Gogh's life was indeed tragic, his art still moves millions of people every year. Part of me wishes that Van Gogh could have known what an impact he would have on us all, that his pain and suffering would resonate for generations into the future. But unfortunately, we don't live in a world with Doctor Who. Ultimately, art is nothing more than an expression of human thought and emotion into a medium that can be shared with others. In that sense, it's a form of communication, a method for helping other people think and better understand the personal world that exists entirely in our minds. While our ancient ancestors and artists of past generations may no longer exist, they can still speak to us every single day, and they can continue to tell us to keep our eyes on the stars. What about you? What astronomical art pieces have impacted you in a meaningful way? Have you created any astronomical art yourself? If so, make sure to leave a comment down below. That way you can tell us about it. Alright everybody, that's going to conclude our video for today. Thank you all so very much for watching us again. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel. That way you can see more of our content in the future. And just like our ancestors, make sure to keep your eyes on the stars.